Maybe I shouldn't have bothered. Every single thing handed to you on a silver platter.
There's something wrong with these people. I think something happened to the girl who lived here before me.
They did ungodly things to her. And now they've chosen you.
What do you mean?
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
So I just came from watching Apartment 7A. Apartment 7A is a 2024 American psychological thriller. It serves as a prequel to Rosemary's Baby, 1968, which I've never watched. Apartment 7A had its premiere at Fantastic Fest on September 20th, 2024, and then being released simultaneously on Paramount Plus and on digital video on demand on September 27th. The premise of the film is very simple. Set in 1965, New York City, the film centers around a young dancer who rents a room from an elderly couple. Oh boy, this film, I am going to try and refrain from major spoilers, though I should mention that if you've seen the trailer is like 70% the movie. I saw the trailer after I watched the film because I just wanted to know how much I should divulge in my review. And when I watched the trailer, I was like, 70% of the story is in the trailer. If you watch the trailer, you can easily put together what's about to happen. Anyway, these are my thoughts. First off, the movie starts really well. Young dancer, she has an accident and she's trying to recover from her accident. And I really end up rooting for her. Let me just say like that. I always hear like some modern writers and modern filmmakers saying that, oh, men cannot root for a female lead. But in this one, the way the movie starts off, you really end up rooting for this girl because you want to see her heal and recover. And she's a very well-written human character, at least in the beginning. She has normal human problems. She's trying to cope with a difficult life, especially after her accident. And then, just as in the trailer, she meets a couple, and this couple offers her housing. And at this point where she meets the couple, there is a slowdown in pacing. Now, why is there a slowdown? Because the movie began with her like losing her livelihood, and then you now get to watch her. She's struggling and she's trying to like pick up her life, right? But once she starts, this elderly couple comes in and starts trying to help her out. The pacing slows down because originally there was like a rush and an urgency to try and get your life together. But now, because everything is being sorted for her, that urgency leaves, and therefore the pacing of the film suffers because that urgency to get your life in order leaves the room. This movie, the genre that when I googled the film, I saw that the genre is supposed to be horror. It has very little horror. I feel like this isn't even like rookie horror. This is below rookie horror. A couple of jump scares here and there, a couple of creepy things happening here and there, but it's not really horror. Psychological thriller, light. If someone would say this is a psychological thriller, it would be very light in that genre. By the 45-minute mark, funny stuff is happening, but it's not really scary. I found the movie to be so basic in terms of its plot and also its horror. The character is such a nice, likable person, but the movie isn't really doing anything with her. Now, I want to mention something very sensitive, which is this girl. This isn't like a major spoiler, but this girl, how do I say it? She gets, she's trying to get into like this dance role. She ends up getting it, but she ends up having to sleep with someone. Now, the way it happens the way the process of sleeping with this someone to end up getting the role happens. In my opinion, there was no consent. And the way the film portrays it, it's like she kind of knew that there was no consent, but she kind of acts like, well, it's not a big deal as long as I get the role. That's the way the movie portrays it, because in the trailer they say that they definitely show that there's a baby. Yeah, obviously if she gets pregnant, it means that she slept with someone. So as I'm saying, it's not really a spoiler, because in the trailer they tell you that there's a baby. But if you know that you became pregnant and the person who made you pregnant knows you're pregnant, why are you cool with it? Like in the film, when she discovers that she's pregnant, she kind of acts like, I'm not going to tell anyone. Then when it's outed that she's pregnant because someone overhears a conversation, and the person who impregnated her like confronts her, she acts like it's not a big deal. And I was like, like if you know and he knows there should be a confrontation. There should be some sort of confrontation. Now, I get that she's trying to keep her job and she won't say anything, but I don't know. I felt like it was very odd. Like, she just acted like it's cool, and she knows that during the process of getting pregnant, it didn't like happen with her consent. I don't want to go into details, but if you watch the way it happens, you can clearly tell that it didn't happen with her consent. Anyway, the pregnancy seemed very convenient for the old people, because in the movie the old people tell you don't have a kid because when we were trying to get pregnant, we didn't get pregnant. So by the time the girl is getting pregnant and the old people are like, well, if you don't want it, we can keep it. That's where now really you as the viewer, these old people who seemed nice originally, now it seems very suspicious. As the movie progresses, there's a sense of dread. Personally, I was watching this very late at night, so there was a sense of dread simply because she's such a nice person, but she's in such an evil world with so many evil and creepy things that are happening around her. And finally, the last thing I can say is that the last maybe 30 to 45 minutes, because the movie is about 104 minutes, which is 1 hour 40 minutes. Yeah, so the last, let's say 20-30 minutes of the film becomes The First Omen. If you haven't watched The First Omen, then it's not really a spoiler, but if you have watched The First Omen, you're going to be disappointed with this film, because the last 40 minutes of the film, the whole thing just becomes The First Omen. And The First Omen is also a prequel to The Omen from, 1960 something. So there's that similarity. This movie is a prequel to a very old movie, just like The First Omen, which released this year, is a prequel to a very old movie. And yeah, this movie started off really well and then just went downhill quickly. Especially once it became like The First Omen. I was so annoyed because I've watched The First Omen, so I'm watching a lesser quality, lesser famous version of a film I already know. Out of 10, I wanted to give this movie a 6 before it turned into The First Omen, but as soon as it turned into The First Omen, I have to give it a 5. I have to give it a 5, and the reason why it gets a 5 and not a 4 is because the main character was a really likable main character. But because it turned into The First Omen, I have to give it a 5. If you've watched this, comment below and tell me what you thought. I've tried to be vague and only stick to mostly what the trailer gave. If you've enjoyed this review, make sure to smash like and subscribe. I'm trying to do daily reviews because there are so many movies nowadays releasing, and I'm in the mood to watch a bunch of movies, especially latest ones. So for daily reviews, smash like, subscribe. I'll leave other reviews I've done on screen. Tell me what you thought of this film, and then I'll see you in the next one.